Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Kwamchetsi Makoha. I am the least qualified person to speak about Ochieng. So I guess when the call came for me to speak about this, I was like a little bit frightened. So first of all, let me recognize all of you for coming and for honoring this invitation. In his more than 50 years career as a journalist, of course, Philip did other things, some of which included in public relations and diplomacy. She's telling me to raise my voice. The thing that she doesn't know is that I spent many years in the choir singing soprano, and I never recovered. So I was saying that in his over 50 years career as a journalist, Philip worked not just in this country. We own him because he was born here. But Philip Ochieng really was an African. He worked, the borders were very artificial to him. So he worked in Tanzania, he lived there for many years, and he was not shy to create controversy. He worked in Uganda, from where he was again expelled because of his journalism. And a month after, well, about I think 2 weeks after he died on April 27 in 2021. And when we had a commemoration online, the Kenya editors commemorated his life. And during that commemoration, it launched the Philip Ochieng Memorial Lecture, not only to honor Philip Ochieng's legacy, but to create the opportunity for mentorship and learning of journalists and journalism students from seasoned editors and KU members who continue to carry Philip's torch. I would like, I think, before we get into the, and memorial lectures basically are one way of making sure that we do not forget. So it's a memorialization tool. And as a memorialization tool, it's only one in a panoply of tools that we can adopt. My thoughts, and I was having a discussion with somebody a few days ago, my thoughts are that because Philip worked for the transient media, we like to call it legacy, but it's very transient because if it's not stored somewhere in a library, it is not quoted in an academic article, it also tends to get lost. So you have about 50 years of intellectual contribution that is sitting somewhere there, and I would encourage the people in academia to study it, encourage them to examine it, to use it as a basis for further thoughts and further conversation. But immediately, and I know that there's a facility with the Kenya Editors Guild where there are people, there are offers, anyone who has a book to come forward and they be assisted to publish it. And my own thought is that one of the latter day columns that Philip Ochieng wrote was called "Mark My Words" in the Saturday Nation, if I'm not wrong. And it's such a language clinic. That language clinic that he ran for I think almost 10, if not more years, is a very useful, almost quick and ready tool that journalists can pick up before we even begin collecting our thoughts together about how to honor and how to remember the example of excellence that Philip Ochieng gave us. The second and the last point I would like to make is that this is very difficult because I know journalists who are also listening. But my own personal view, and having interacted with the man ever so briefly, I am convinced that the Kenyan media did Philip Ochieng a great disservice because the stories that we published of him were only partial. We were not able to appreciate or comprehend the full range of talents and contributions that Philip Ochieng made. I say this, of course, at the risk of getting excommunicated, but I will say it anyway. Philip Ochieng was not just a writer, and he was not just filling a column on a page. Philip Ochieng was an intellectual. There are times he was wrong, but you can't say he didn't have something to say. So he was actively involved in the trafficking of ideas. He generated those ideas, he debated those ideas, he pushed those ideas. There are times when he was wrong, there are times we have disagreed violently, but that didn't stop him from thinking. And I think as we begin this tradition of honoring him, we foreground more the thinking. The writing was great and he was gifted, yes. The writing is great, but I think the greatest legacy, the greatest contribution that Philip Ochieng gave the journalism profession is that journalists are not conveners. Journalists are thinkers, journalists are moral voices, journalists are leaders. It is now my distinct pleasure to invite the President of the Kenya Editors Guild, Mr. Churchill Otieno,